Hello, my name's Hayden Brown.
And I'm Olivia Palumbo.
And today we're at the LMU School of Film and Television,
talking to fellow students about their opinions on the Oscars.
I did watch the Oscars. I was watching the Oscars from Elton John's Oscars party.
I did not watch the Oscars.
Yes, I watched the Oscars.
Yeah, I was in and out of it.
Like half of it, not the full thing.
I tried to.
No.
I think CODA was a very great story, telling a story about people with disabilities. It's something that's always been in the background that needs to be brought to the forefront. However, I do think King Richard deserved to win. It was perhaps Will Smith's best performance, and I think the story of Serena and Venus are very inspiring to all black girls that want to become tennis players. So I'm there for the message. CODA was nice, but I loved King Richard.
I'm not angry that it won. I think it's great. I think it's great that CODA won. I haven't seen enough of the other movies to really have a strong opinion about it, but I loved CODA, and I think it totally deserved it.
Yeah, I agree with the winner for Best Picture. I was actually in a conversation with someone else earlier today where they were talking about like just the overall production value of a film and like how well they're able to like achieve different things versus the story content. And although there are a lot of other films that people argued like were better in like stuff like cinematography and like directing or maybe like stuff like production design, I feel like CODA was definitely one of those things where it was definitely the story content and like the way in which they were able to take like a theme that's not really talked about that much and put it into the forefront that really got it that Best Picture win.
I really loved CODA, so I very much I'm in support of it. I think it was really well.
Yeah, I do. I think it was a good film.
I think the Academies are trying to do better with inclusion, but it's like it's like a hit and miss.
I didn't watch CODA, so I don't know. I don't know. I can't like just have an opinion.
Number one, in the black community, that is not far off. Number one, you don't talk about someone's mother, you don't talk about someone's wife, and you definitely don't talk about someone's daughter. Did he need to slap him on stage? No, that could have been done off stage, but honestly, I do not fault him for it because he was protecting his wife, and that was that.
I have very few thoughts about it.
I honestly, like, everyone's trying to be like team like Will Smith or team Chris Rock, but like there's one line in the sand that is drawn that is definitely like there should not have been violence that occurred like in the space. I mean, of course, like Chris Rock was definitely in the wrong for saying stuff like that, and yeah, sure, comedians definitely tell bad jokes and then good jokes, and that happened to be a pretty distasteful joke. But at the end of the day, like in society, it's not right to meet like words with violence immediately, especially when you're on live TV in front of like thousands of people. I mean, everyone in attendance is a role model for someone, and if you're going to be going and slapping someone because of an insult, no matter what the insult, then that's not really setting a good example for other people.
I think Will Smith is completely in the wrong there.
Chris Rock was out of pocket for saying it in the first place. You never know. Like, look at Chadwick Boseman. Like, you didn't know what he was going through, and yet people were making jokes about how thin he was. You never know if somebody can have a disease. You never know if somebody's going through something. So you shouldn't just, I mean, unless it's in a thing that's like apparent.
Oh, it's pretty. They are pretty.
It's unprofessional. Very simply put.
I think the Oscars are trying to change. More so, I think it's coming from external public pressure rather than the institution itself that wants to change. So maybe they'll have more representation, disability, person of color, background now. But longevity-wise, I don't know if the Oscars will continue to do that. I have faith that it will be and that it can be. And I just have a message to all the creators of color out there. Keep creating your stuff. Don't try to get an Oscar. If you get an Oscar, it's great. That shouldn't be your end goal. Just make it because you love it and you're passionate about it.
I think there is an attempt. I'm not sure if it is. I think it's a really complicated question as to whether it's a good faith attempt or whether it's an attempt that's kind of just like, oh, we're gonna lose our audience if we don't change how we're doing things, which that could be positive too.
I would say that the Oscars are transitioning, but I'm not really a fan of where they're going. I think the Will Smith incident definitely like overshadowed a lot more of like the problems that were happening with the broadcast. I think in particular they were going for a more like edgy, more like Golden Globes-esque, like trying to dig at the different films. But the Golden Globes is much more of just like a very casual award show, while the Oscars is like giving themselves on distinction. Like they're awarding like the best films. So to make digs at the film at the same time while awarding them is a little weird. And also the presenters were having some very distasteful jokes in general.
No, not really. I don't see any. It doesn't feel like it still feels like just a bunch of elites meeting up together and giving each other awards. I don't know.
I don't think the goal of the Oscars really should be to be in touch with society, honestly, because the Oscars are always for its own people, is to like pat itself on the back. It definitely is in a transitional period, and it's attempting to become more in touch with society, but I think the further it goes away from like, I don't know, trying, I guess, to like do certain things, the more it'll like achieve that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Oscars have never been quote unquote for the people. The Oscars have always been to congratulate themselves on for what they have done.
I think it's a hit and miss. Like, you can't just force it. It has to be gradual, and that might be different from what other people is like. It needs to be immediate inclusion, but it can be overwhelming, and then it doesn't feel genuine. Like, you have to, you know, recognize who is here, who is at the table, and the new seats that need to be prepared, or the old people that need to be taken out for the new people to come in needs to be recognized. But it just felt like a whole bunch of inclusion all over the place.
I think they have to. I think they have to because we're starting to see like on a lot of the platforms that most people watch, because not everyone's going to the movies nowadays, like a lot of films are starting to adapt to this like culture where like we're starting to see like people of different races like integrated more into films, and people of all sorts of different backgrounds. So it's reasonable to think like the Academy is going to kind of reflect those changes, because you can't just keep the same traditions when things within the industry itself is changing.